Hello everyone, Tom here, back with another video presentation. This is the studio version of Winter's Break that I did back first part of February, and here we are the first part of March. So a month apart. And I've worked more carefully on the drawing, more just working out ideas a bit better in this drawing, and hopefully that'll be evident as I get going with this piece. Now, I've used the word drawing even though this is a watercolor. And of course, for me, watercolor is as much about drawing as drawing is about drawing, because you're just using a different medium, a different tool, but you're really seeking to accomplish the same end. So, as is my usual approach, I'm doing a wet into wet, only I'm not wetting virtually the entire sheet. I'm basically wetting just the sky and then working with that, working wet into wet. So at first I was running at 2 times speed, now this is 4 times speed, just in part for the sake of getting through the painting in a timely fashion for you as you watch. Working to clean up that edge between earth and sky, and now coming in with the painting of the middle distant ground. Now, because of the nature of that distant ground, it looks like those distant hills are being detailed out quite a bit. I'm just laying in very abstract patterns that reflect the shapes that I'm seeing in the image. I have both the plein air study and the photograph up on my computer screen, and I'm watching that carefully as I paint along here, as I draw along here. So a reminder, this scene is from Rush Valley. It's near the point which is called 5 Mile Pass. It's just south of that. I like to drive along the east side of Rush Valley, kind of tuck myself up into the foothills of the Tintic Range, and then I look out across the valley and see what there is to paint, and of course there's always something for me. This is my little haven. So I am paying close attention to the contour of those hills and trying to paint the patterns of the trees, those junipers and piñons, that reflect the angle that that hill is sitting at. So that's why you see the patterns that you see there. It's an intended way of trying to really give a sense of the geologic feature that is those hills. These are the foothills of the Ochre Mountains, and we're looking north. So yeah, I've gone back to real time for just a little bit, just to let you see, get more of a real-time sense of the time and energy in the process going through and making this. This is probably about an hour and a half of film time that I have reduced down to just under 15 minutes. Now, as I go along, often I am sometimes jumping on, I'm back to 4 times speed now, jumping on to one spot and painting that in so I can see what to do with the rest of the piece. And you'll see that later on in the painting I will actually come back and rework a portion of that sky. I try not to, but in this painting I end up doing that in order to kind of get that edge between earth and sky that I feel I need to tell the story of the scene. This painting became for me a study in grays, all kinds of versions of the color gray. None of these are very intense colors. It's the nature of landscape painting quite often, unless you focus in on a feature element such as a flower. But this was very much a study in just the patterns and the grays of winter. A little note about my palette. As you watch me work from my palette, you'll rarely ever see a clean palette. And when you do see a clean palette, it's usually just one mixing area that I have wiped out and cleaned out, because I do need a fairly pure color to use in there. And I'll do that sometimes with my skies, and anything that is much of a strong or intense yellow, I will do that as well. I can always add water to the grays that I have, to the colors I have down there, and then mix it with another color I pick up from the palette, and I can just mix there and just start right over with what I got. And so that's why I like to just leave my palette the way it is. Of course, in other mediums where the paint dries hard, you can't do that, but with watercolor it can reconstitute. And so I leave those grays as something ready mixed for me to work with. Each area of the painting requires 2 or 3 passes, 3 or 4 sometimes, in order to get the lighting and the depth of tone and value and color into the piece that is needed. So I will kind of work on one area, let it dry, work on another area, come back to that area that I've worked in. This right here, as I'm painting this sagebrush, I love how it illustrates painting the form, but painting with abstract marks that tell the story of the form without being the actual object itself. And that's, to me, is one of the magical moments of painting. All right, I'll turn you over to the music. See you on the other side. Well, as we come down to near the end of this video presentation, I hope you've picked up on a couple of things that maybe you could use in your own work, or those of you who don't paint and just like watching the process happen. I hope that you've also been enlightened as to what it is that the artist does in their work. And this is just what one guy does. This is me. So I hope you've gained some good things from it. I really enjoy doing these paintings. It's just the thing that fills my day with feeling like I've spent my time well. All I'm doing now is making decisions about that foreground and seeing what more can be done. Now, when you see the final painting in just a few seconds here, you'll see some things that I added to it. I try to put an inset in there that says what it is I did with the painting since the videotaping of this process. So there's often a bit of that happens outside of the videotaping process. I just look at it for a while. It takes a few minutes for me to see what more can be done, and that'll show in the piece that you'll see in a bit here. I have a feeling that if I did this painting again, I would still do certain aspects of it differently, but for now, I'm quite satisfied with what I have here. I love those grays. It's just a real fun exercise in gray. All right, well, take care, everybody. Have yourselves a great day. Be safe, be courteous, and I'll see you in the next video.